Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 6th annual TrueSongs. In 2023, it became clear that this program had outgrown Caffe, Lena. This is the first time that we've done this at Universal Preservation Hall. And tonight, we have about 4 times as many people as would fit down at Caffe, Lena. So thank you, yeah. Thanks to all of you for coming to this performance, those of you who are repeats and those of you who are discovering TrueSongs for the first time. We really thank UPH for clearing their schedule and making it possible for us to do the show here and to provide all of the support that we need to bring the vision of this program to life. I want to take just a moment before we launch in to tell you how TrueSongs came about. Caffe Lena, as a lot of you know, but probably not all of you, is a historic music venue located just a couple blocks that way. It's been in continuous operation since 1960. It's a folk music venue. And folk music, to our way of thinking, is the music of the people. It embraces their dreams and aspirations for a better world. It embraces their efforts to hang on to their humanity in a rapidly changing world and to connect with others in a meaningful way. The work of songwriters is to help people access their hearts and imaginations because that's where compassion and connection starts. So back in 2018, it occurred to us that the people that we were singing about on that stage were not necessarily the people that we were singing to. So we decided to remedy that by starting a program called Caffe Lena on the Road, which brings our nationally touring headline artists out to play in senior care homes and drug treatment centers, in shelters, elementary schools, the soup kitchen, in any setting where people gather who might otherwise not have access to live music. It became evident through those engagements that our community is full of people working for peace, health, and justice, mostly in very small, practical ways, and they do it largely behind closed doors. So yes, the headlines are true. There's war, there's division, there is economic injustice, and the planet is in peril. And we have that story pounded into our heads every time we turn on the radio or pick up a newspaper, turn on the television, go online. And we hear the other part far less often. When disaster strikes, deep human instincts reawaken and people surge into action to save their families, to help their neighbors, and to help strangers too. And those are the stories we're going to talk about tonight. These stories that you're going to hear are true, they're personal, and they're being told by people who never anticipated standing on stage to open their hearts in front of 500 people. They never anticipated that the greatest challenge they ever faced would become a song. We have a very full night ahead of us, so let's get started. Unlike what it says in your printed program, apologies, the very first team that's going to come up here is from RISE, Housing and Support Services. This team was coached by Margaret, a wonderful storyteller, and Robert Winkler is going to share his story, and Rachel Sumner is going to share her song. She's a Boston-based singer-songwriter who came up for this program. And I am going to bring now Associate Executive Director of RISE, Lindsay Connors, on stage to tell you about what they do. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. As Sarah said, I'm Lindsay Connors. I am the Associate Executive Director at RISE. RISE was born out of the deinstitutionalization movement of the late 1970s, which saw the opening of state mental health institutions and folks essentially being put out onto the streets after being institutionalized for many years without any support in the community. At Rise, we provide housing, support services in order for folks with mental health conditions, substance use disorder, and other life challenges such as street homelessness to remain safe and healthy in the community. We do provide a host of services all the way from 24/7 care up to independent apartment living in our supportive housing program. We are most often lately seen in the news for our homeless shelter. You might be familiar with the Adelphi Street Shelter, but that is actually the newest and smallest part of what we do. The core of our services are for folks with severe and persistent mental health issues. We provide community residences, we provide apartment programs, we provide acute care facilities for folks that are stepping down from the mental health unit at Saratoga Hospital or are unstable and not quite making what the hospital requires for admission. We are there to support people where they are at and not where we want them to be. And the best part of my job, always when it's bittersweet, is when folks graduate past needing us and they are on their own in the community. And one of those folks is here joining me tonight to tell his story to you all, Mr. Robert Winkler.
Good evening. As Lindsay said, my name's Robert Winkler, and I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself before I get into my story. First thing is that I have a PhD in chemical engineering from RPI. The second thing is I've fought and battled against depression for my entire life. When I left school, I spent 10 unhappy years working in the plastics industry, and so I decided to make a career change into teaching. I taught at a variety of local colleges until I got a full-time position at Adirondack Community College. So everything was great until my 4th year at ACC, when I was denied tenure. For those of you who are unfamiliar with academics, being denied tenure means that you're invited to leave. So I lost my job. I was able to find some part-time work for a while, but eventually I never found another full-time job, and I eventually ran out of money. So I was evicted from my apartment. So I became homeless. This was in the beginning of 2015. I spent some time living at the shelters of Saratoga, and the staff at the homeless shelter put me in touch with Rise. My first experience with Rise was at a Get Acquainted dinner at one of the community residences, which I ended up moving into in March of 2015. I was severely depressed, felt really ashamed and embarrassed about the position I was in. You know, I'm not married, I don't have any kids, so I always thought that I'd be able to keep things together, but I couldn't. So at the community residence, I didn't really socialize much with the other residents. I spent most of my time watching TV. Was not really doing well. I basically shut down. And after about a year and a half, I graduated into one of the apartment programs, what we called the single site program. The community residence has staff on site 24/7. The single site apartments have staff there 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So it was a little more independent. My first apartment, I stayed in my room a lot, pretty much isolated, didn't really interact much with my roommates. At this time, I was also participating in the PROS program at the community mental health clinic. PROS is not therapy, it's more of a skills building program. And again, I was really not in a good place, so I really didn't get much out of PROS because I didn't put much into it. I tell them now that I didn't really give them much to work with. I'll say more about prose a little later. After about another year in the single-site apartment, I moved into what we called scattered site, no staff, but I met with a counselor once a week. And again, I had a roommate, started socializing with my roommates a little bit more. But I think the thing that had the most benefit to my recovery was joining the senior center in 2018. At first, I was self-conscious about going there because I was the youngest person there by a lot. And I wasn't sure if I fit in, but I played bingo, did a couple other things. Then COVID happened. When COVID happened, the senior center shut down. And I missed it. I missed seeing the people that I'd gotten to know. And when the senior center reopened after COVID ended, I started spending more time there. And I started doing more things. Then in 2022, I moved out of Rise. I probably could have moved out of Rise housing a little sooner than I did, but because I don't have a car and transportation was an issue, I wanted to live in Saratoga. So it took me a little while to find a place in Saratoga. So I left Rise, and for the last 3.5 years, I've been living on my own in the community. I'm still at the senior center. Now I run the bingo game. And I met somebody there, so I'm in a good relationship. And I'm also working at Prose. I'm the peer specialist in the program now, which gives the clients there somebody to talk to who's been down the same road they've been down. So I interact a lot with the clients and give them, again, somebody who's familiar with their circumstances, somebody to talk to. So, in conclusion, I'd like to thank the folks at Rise for the 7 years of support they gave me and helping me get back to being the person that I used to be. And as a final thought, what happened to me could happen to anybody. There's a lot of stereotypical opinions about people who end up homeless or suffer from depression. Those stereotypes and stigmas need to go away. And what happened to me could happen to anybody. Thank you.
Robert Winkler was a chemistry teacher. Like any man, was eager to keep holding his own. But hard times roll upon us like a heavy boulder, like a rogue wave at our shoulder while we're looking at the shore. Well, he was filling minds of students with chemical equations, taught them bonds of covalence, how the balance is kept. And tenure was the target, secure at his college. Tell me, who doesn't crave a little permanence? But his tenure was denied. The college tossed him to the side. He took the work that he could find, but it was all part-time. He had rainy day funds, but it was pouring for months, and when his savings dried up, he couldn't make his rent. And so Dr. Winkler, college chemistry teacher, in the blink of an eye was Robert the homeless homeless man. Robert Winkler never planned for any of this, staring into the abyss with his future unknown. But he found some kindness at the local shelter and some programs that helped him to stand up on his own. You know what they say, when there's a will, there's a way. May you never see the day you learn that saying ain't true. We're all toeing the line, no matter how hard we try. Don't think this could never happen to you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Rise. So next is Captain Community Human Services, the coach for this team. And I'll just tell you what that role is. So you can imagine if you wanted to tell a story about your life, you would have a hard time finding out, figuring out like where to start that story, where to end that story, what to include, what not to include. We have a wonderful storytelling program at Caffe Lena that attracts a lot of very experienced storytellers from around this region. And I tap that network and ask some of those storytellers to lend their experience to these folks to help them shape what they went through into a story that they could tell to you all. So the coach for this team is Christie Keegan, and Rebecca Lefevre is going to share her story, and the songwriter is based in Denver, Colorado, and her name is Emily Barnes. And I have asked Fern Hurley from Captain to come up and tell us a little bit about the organization. Fern.
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everyone. Captain Community Human Services started in the 1970s in Clifton Park when a group of concerned community members came together to try to do something about some difficulties that the teenagers in the area were having. So these volunteers gathered together and a teen program was launched. And the teenagers themselves from the program are credited with our name, Captain. Community action for parents, teens, and interested neighbors. So from a teen program on our early focus on youth and families, more volunteers, more community members launched an outreach center and then an emergency runaway homeless youth shelter, and our programs grew. Now, almost 50 years later, we have over 30 services for area community members. We help senior citizens. We provide food assistance. We have aid for people facing homelessness and economic crisis. But at Captain Community Human Services, we don't want to be just a hand out. We want to be a hand up for people who are seeking a better future. In 2014, we launched a program based on the Bridges Out of Poverty model, a program called Getting Ahead. Getting Ahead is kind of a college course support group rolled into one. And the participants that come to the Getting Ahead program work with their facilitator and a small group, and they learn about their strengths, they discover resources, they learn about budgeting and finances, they think about future goals, and they walk away with a plan for self-sufficiency, We like to say that the folks that graduate from our Getting Ahead program have developed a future story. Not only that, when they leave the Getting Ahead program, they are walking away with a volunteer mentor who is going to help guide them on their pathway to success. So, Getting Ahead is hard. It's really hard work. First of all, there's homework assignments, and who wants homework? There's attendance requirements, and you really have to put your heart and soul in it, and you have to dig deep into personal matters in order to succeed at the Getting Ahead program. That is why I am very honored today to introduce you to Rebecca, one of our Getting Ahead graduates, and I'm just thrilled that she's here to tell you her story, and I am humbled and grateful that Captain has been able to be a small part of her story. Rebecca?
Thank you. Good evening. On February 22nd, 2022, I stood before a judge awaiting a ruling on my violation of probation for a second DWI. There I stood in my pink turtleneck sweater. I thought I was going to the gym after and back to work the next day. Instead, I was remanded to jail without bail. I was handcuffed and transported to Saratoga County Correctional Facility for processing. I traded in my pink sweater for my dingy blue-green jail scrubs, brown-stained boxers and socks, and ants crawling in my shoes. I was mug-shotted and given a bracelet with my mugshot and my inmate number, and escorted to my cell where I would remain for the next 30 days. Jail was a horrible place. It was much worse than anything I had ever imagined. It was loud, oppressive, cold. Everyone was angry and yelling, and it all echoed off the steel, glass, and concrete. It echoed and amplified. There was no soft surface to absorb the sound. The energy was toxic. You couldn't escape it. One of the worst parts of jail for me were there weren't clocks on the walls, so you never knew what time it was. So in my cell for the next 30 days, I did a lot of reflecting and writing incessantly. I wrote on anything and everything. I even wrote on the toilet paper, which I still have scrolled up and tucked away in an envelope. I traced my life back to my earliest memories, trying to figure out where I went wrong. I had gotten off track somewhere. I was not raised this way. I came from a middle-class working family. And since I had graduated college, I had been assaulted twice. I had numerous trips to the ER, unconscious trips to the ER. I had totaled 5 vehicles. I had been kidnapped and escaped. I had inpatient and outpatient rehab, 2 DWIs, and now jail. Something went wrong. I got off track somewhere. Life had beaten me down. I was broken. I had years of unprocessed trauma that was manifesting in ways that I didn't recognize as being trauma. My nervous system was constantly dysregulated, and I had to numb my feelings just to get through day-to-day life. In jail was the first time that I was forced to sit and face my fears and feel my feelings without being able to numb them. A couple things I learned from that is that the feelings eventually passed, and that light and strength were born in the darkness. I just never stayed sober long enough to realize that. So I was in jail for 30 days, awaiting my prison sentence, where I ended up being offered treatment court and inpatient rehab as an alternative to incarceration, which I was glad to take, because with the way jail was for me, I felt if any amount of time incarcerated, I would go insane, get committed, and never return to society again. So I took treatment court and inpatient rehab, and the condition of treatment court was they say jump, you jump. The most important part of treatment court is to remain completely sober. Otherwise, you'll default to your original prison term. And you're randomly drug and alcohol screened every day. You had to call in, and you would find out if you had to go in for testing. So if you were drinking or doing drugs, you would get caught eventually. So I took it. I did the inpatient rehab. When I got out, the rehab had changed my mindset, but when I got out, I didn't change anything outside in my life. I went back to the same stressful job, went back to the same relationship, same friends, and eventually, several months down the road, when things got difficult again, I drank again, and I was caught. And I went before the judge again, not knowing what was going to happen, assuming the worst. And instead of sending me to prison, he sentenced me to 1 week in jail and 90-day inpatient rehab. It was a militant, trauma-based rehab, very challenging. It's the last stop before prison for all the really hard cases. So I was sent there for the 90 days. That was trauma in itself. That was something else that's for a different time, but I made it through. I got out. About 30 days out of the rehab, I had started to get sick. I wasn't adjusting well. I ended up drinking again, and I got caught again. So this was it. I was going to prison. I kind of prepared myself. I went in before the judge, ready to go. as ready as I could be. And I couldn't believe it. The judge had mercy on me again. And this time, something changed inside me. This is when something really clicked. It was like I had died and was resurrected. I swore I would do anything that it took to stay sober, change my life, do the work, anything to stay sober at least long enough to get out of drug court and probation. Just if I could just do that. So I immediately went home from court. I broke up with my boyfriend of 8 years. I left my job. I didn't go back. I was staying sober, actually. I was making the external changes, finally, in my external life. But things got worse before they got better. From what I think was, I ended up getting really, really, really sick, horribly sick. I had my mind and body shut down. I couldn't think straight any longer. I was having difficulty reading. I was weak, winded. I had no energy. I had strange symptoms appearing throughout my body. I went to more than 10 different specialists, waiting for months to get into each one. Tests were coming up inconclusive. Nobody could attribute any of the symptoms, anything to anything. They just kept pointing to stress. So I felt like I just kept getting brushed off and unheard. So unable to, read, function. I couldn't hold down a job, never mind start a new one. I was denied unemployment because I voluntarily left my job. I was denied disability without a diagnosis. So there I was, going broke, into debt. I had no means to live. I became homeless. My car was breaking down. I couldn't fix it. I had gone from, in less than a year, having a full-time job that I was at for 9 years, with money in the bank, to all of a sudden I'm homeless. Within a year, homeless, sick, can't function, and it was like nobody was listening to me. Nobody got it. I was getting brushed off. I felt like I was on this twisted episode of The Twilight Zone where I was screaming and flailing and nobody could hear me or see me. So I was desperate. I was open to any suggestion. I would do anything and everything to try and improve my situation. This is when I got a trauma therapist from years of unprocessed trauma. I started doing EMDR. I got a sponsor. I started going to AA pretty much every day. I got a coffee commitment, started making coffee for AA, volunteering for their functions. I continued intensive outpatient substance abuse counseling, and I sought out alternative forms of healing like acupuncture, Reiki, energy healing, traditional Chinese medicine, I was desperate to fix this, to do whatever it took. But I was still sinking despite my efforts. And this is when I was referred to Captain Human Services. Captain, as you heard, offers services and programs for people that are kind of have run into some problems in their life, or with nowhere else to go. And I really had exhausted everything at this point. Kathy Bonnie from Captain and my mentor Kathy helped me. I took their classes, Getting Ahead and Money Matters, and it helped me break down my life into manageable pieces. I was really overwhelmed. My brain wasn't working right. I couldn't think my way out of it, but they were there to listen and support me when nobody else would. So they really helped me guide me to getting back on my feet again. So I started with getting a job. With the condition I was in, mentally and physically, I got a job painting. I've been a professional painter in the past, and I have a Bachelor in Fine Arts degree in painting. So mentally, it's probably the only thing that I could do. Physically, I just had to push through it. And I started out 1 to 2 days a week working, and within a year later, I was working full-time and taking on side work. I had built my stamina up slowly throughout the course of the year. The next thing was finding a place to live. So I responded to a roommate wanted ad and rented a little closet with no window from this strange guy. But it was mine. It was a place to call my own, and I had shelter. From there, 8 months later, I was able to rent my own house, which I live in now. It's a beautiful little gingerbread-style house facing east on a lake with lots of windows and light and a space to do my art. And I get to see the sunrise every day. Halloween will mark 1 year since I've been there. I have graduated treatment court and finished probation. I have begun to, I'm 2.5 years sober. That's an important part. 2.5 years sober. I forget. Thank you. 2.5 years completely sober, and I share my experience, strength, and hope at AA meetings and in rehabs now. And I just continue to move forward. I mean, it's still a struggle, but I find that in even your darkest hours, it eventually passes, and I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and I look forward to taking my next steps into a future that I choose and not one that was chosen for me. And you just keep getting back up when you're knocked down. And that's all I got. Thank you. Thank you.
So I said I wasn't going to talk, but I do just want to say it's such an honor to be a small part in helping you tell your story today. We both decided with talking to each other that Rebecca's word that describes her best as a fighter, and so we wanted to really focus this song on her next chapter and continuing to get her way all the way to the top.
She enters the ring, they're back to the ropes, puts her mouth guard in, takes off her robe, gathers up her gloves. She finds her fighter's stance, and she's wrestling monsters, the kinds with claws and teeth that'll wake you up straight from a dead sleep. But she's not giving up, no, she's not giving in easily. She's a veteran fighter, born swinging, won't take a losing when she knows she can win. She's gonna climb her way up till she sees the light. And you can try all you want, you can't take her down, can't break her spirits, kick her when she's down. She's a veteran fighter, just look at her now. When life throws her a low blow, she stands up to take it, looks in the mirror, she's ready to face it, squares up with her opponent, only to see her own face. And she can see her breath, so she knows she's still breathing. Silence so loud, she can hear it screaming. Got a good luck penny right here, face up on the ground. She's a veteran fighter, born swinging, won't take a losing when she knows she can win. She's gonna climb her way up till she sees the light. And you can try all you want, but you can't take her down, can't break her spirits, kick her when she's down. She's a veteran fighter, just look at her now. She knows hope is a string that's tied round her finger. She enters the ring and it hangs round and lingers, even when she's got her back here pressed against the wall. She's a veteran fighter, born swinging, won't take a losing when she knows she can win. She's gonna climb her way up till she sees the light. You can try all you want, but you can't break her down, can't take her spirit, kick her when she's down. She's a veteran fighter, just look at her now. She's a veteran fighter, just look at her now.
Oh, that was so special. Okay. Our final organization for the first half of the night is a really wonderful one. This is the Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York. The coach for this team was Shawn, great storyteller. And Teagan Ketchum is going to be sharing her story, and Sirsy is going to be performing a song for her. I would like to invite Janine Garab from the Epilepsy Foundation up to talk about their work.
Good evening. I am Janine Garab, Executive Director of the Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York, and I want to extend my deepest thanks to Sarah and Caffe Lena for choosing us to be a part of this special evening. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder characterized by recurring, unprovoked seizures. It will affect 1 in 26 people in our lifetime. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to leave your house every day and not know if today is the day you will have another seizure. Where will you be? Who will be there to help you? Will you injure yourself? Will you awaken in the emergency room or in an ambulance? For people with epilepsy, they don't imagine this. They live with this fear every day. And 1/3 of all people with epilepsy continue to have seizures despite the best available treatments. That's where our organization comes in. The Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York serves 22 counties, including the Capital Region, the North Country, and the Upper Hudson Valley area. Our mission is to improve the lives of people living with epilepsy through education, advocacy, research, and connection. We provide service coordination, counseling, educational programs, and support groups. And we are so excited to have Teagan Ketchum share her story with all of you here tonight, as her story underscores our vision that no one with epilepsy should travel this journey alone. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Teagan, and when I was 6 years old, I was all motion. Everything was hockey skates, scraped knees, my parents yelling in the stands, "Go, Tiggy!" I was all energy, all drive, all joy. If you had told me to slow down, I took it as a personal challenge. And then, one day, my body slowed down for me. It started with a seizure. I was in elementary school when it happened, walking to the nurse's office because I didn't quite feel right. But I never made it there. I woke up in a dark, empty classroom, confused and scared, surrounded by a bunch of adults who looked even more frightened than I was. That day, I learned the word epilepsy. I didn't know what it meant yet, but I knew that it was going to change everything. And not even a month later, I learned another word, one I couldn't even pronounce, leg calf perthase disease, a rare hip condition. They told me that my bone was dying. And then came words that hit like a punch. You may never walk again. I was 6, and in less than a month, I went from being a kid who couldn't sit still to one who may never walk again. And I thought at first, okay, I'll just work harder. That's what athletes do, right? They push through. But epilepsy doesn't work that way. And neither does perthase. No, there were rules now. No being alone, no monkey bars, no climbing trees, no high adventures, as my safety plan called them. I hated that phrase, no high adventures. High adventures sounded like exactly what I wanted to be doing. And then the Epilepsy Foundation stepped in. And they gave my teacher this book that she could read to the class that taught kids what seizures were and what to do if they happened. They gave my nurse things to give the teachers during training days. And that might seem like something small, but to me, it was everything. Because now, if something happened, people knew what to do. Because now, I didn't have to hide anymore. But still, being a kid with epilepsy was hard. Being a kid with epilepsy and a bad hip, that was something else altogether. Sports became this mix of joy and fear. Even on my best days, I didn't know if my body was going to betray me mid-game. I could be skating one moment and seizing the next. And when that happens in front of your teammates, especially in front of people that you don't even know, but I kept going. And the foundation, they gave us these scholarships, which I obviously used for hockey. The New York Rangers summer camp, my favorite team. And every time I was there and I laced up my skates, I felt like I was proving something. To the doctors, the coaches, the kids that whispered, and honestly, to myself. There had been so many times that I was told, no. No, you can't play. No, it's not safe. No, we can't risk it. And for so long, I believed them. I believed all of those no's. But eventually, no became my motivation. All of these obstacles, they were teaching me something. Patience, grit, perspective. I started to learn to measure things in smaller ways, like standing without pain, making it through an entire game, or going a week without a seizure. And each little victory, it just felt like this spark that said, keep going. What I didn't realize was that mindset was going to be the foundation for everything in my life that came next. If I couldn't take the easy path, I would make my own. And in high school, that drive only became bigger. I started working with the Epilepsy Foundation, lobbying at the state level, and even going to Washington, D.C. to speak to congressional leaders. I learned how research gets funded and how policy gets made and how one voice could ripple into real change. That telling your story, even when it's hard, is one of the most powerful things that you can do. And those experiences they gave me, it gave me so much confidence. And not just as a speaker, but as a person. It showed me that advocacy isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And then came college, the dream that I had been fighting for. Division I hockey, the big time. I had made it. That little girl who was told that she would never walk again was now skating at the highest level. And what I didn't expect was how lonely it would feel. When my seizures started again, not everybody understood this time. My coaches saw missed practices, not medical emergencies. They saw excuses, not epilepsy. And I wish that I had called the foundation then, but I didn't. I kept thinking, you can't let them see you break. So I stayed quiet, and I carried that alone. And when I looked back, I realized that strength wasn't about gritting your teeth and being powerful and pushing through on your own. It was about knowing when to ask for help. And even with all the obstacles, I still had a successful college career. It wasn't perfect, but I earned my spot. I competed hard, and I finished strong. Something that little girl who was told she would never walk again would be proud of. And when I left college, I didn't walk away from the sport. I became a coach. Hockey had given me so much, and coaching helped me give it back, especially to the kids that felt different or overlooked. It showed me that leadership isn't about just playing hard. It's about helping others find their strength. And it got me thinking. So I did reach out to the Epilepsy Foundation again, but this time not because I needed help, because I wanted to give it. So I started teaching their self-management courses, helping people like me navigate their diagnosis and find their voice. I started speaking again at conferences and events like Women with Epilepsy. And every time I told my story, I felt a little lighter. Like I was reclaiming this part of myself that I didn't even know that I had lost. Today, I still live with epilepsy and Perthes. Some days are good, some days are hard. But my story isn't about what I've lost. It's about what I've found. I found resilience in the times that I wanted to give up. I found community in the people that said, "Me too." I found power in refusing to accept no as the final answer. Because the truth is, someone can tell you that you will never walk again, and you can still find a way to run. And that's what I want people to know. That being unseen doesn't mean you're invisible. That strength doesn't always look like fighting. Sometimes it's just standing back up again and again, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. And sometimes I catch myself holding my breath, waiting for the next seizure, the next setback. But then I remember that little girl in the dark classroom. She didn't give up. She kept moving even though she was scared. And maybe that's what being unstoppable truly is. Not that you never fall, but that you never stop finding power and strength. That you never stop finding reasons to stand back up. And that is the story that I carry with me from the rink to the hospital to this stage. And what I've learned is one of the most powerful things that you can do is to keep moving forward. Thank you.
What a joy and an honor it has been to get to know this incredible woman, Teagan. The first time we ever met her and she told us some of her story, I just kept hearing the phrase, "Don't tell me what I can't do." This is a song called Living Proof, Teagan's story.
At 6 years old, I learned that broken kids fight hard. As a hospital became my second home, they said, "Girl, you'll never move like all the others, and your memories won't always be your own." By 14, I started to fight my brain and body. Even when I almost didn't wake up, Mama by my side told me to keep on trying. So I learned to believe and not give up. And I said, don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me what I can't do. 'Cause I am made of more than they gave me credit for. And in my darkest days, when my dreams get lost to pain, I know that there's a way they come true. 'Cause I'm living proof. Yeah, I'm living proof. By 16, I started to fight for all the others. When I learned that there were lots of kids like me. See, I always had a champion as my mother, showing me that's who I'm supposed to be. But through it all, the ice is always offered freedom, giving me the strength to find my way. And if not me, then who will pass this on to others? That there is always hope for better days. So they'll say, don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me what I can't do. 'Cause I am made of more than they gave me credit for. And in my darkest days, when my dreams get lost to pain, I know there's still a way that they come true. 'Cause I'm living proof. I'm living proof. So don't tell me what I can't do, no. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof. Don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof. Don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof. Don't tell me what I can't do. Come on. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof. Don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof. Don't tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me 'cause I'm living proof.
Okay, everybody. I know that was kind of a short intermission, but this is a long program, and we want to make sure you still have some energy at the end to check in with the organizations out there. If you didn't notice yet, they all have an information table that is staffed, and they would love to answer your questions, give you more information, or tell you how you can help. Lots of times we find with TrueSongs that there are people in the audience who are discovering the availability of assistance for either themselves or their family members or people they know. And so this is a great opportunity to find out what's available. So the next organization is such a wonderful one, and we just discovered them this year. We've never worked with them before, and so excited to have made this connection. This is All Abilities Productions. They're in Glens Falls, New York, and their coach is Vivian Nesbitt. They're going to have not a conventional speaker here at the microphone. They're going to do something a little bit different. But the person whose story is being shared is Keely Milligan, and she's going to be doing this with her parents, Matt and Kim Milligan. And the songwriter is Caffe Lena's own Reese Fulmer, who you were just hearing on the loudspeaker. So I'm going to invite co-founder Terry Kempf up to just introduce what's coming next. Thanks.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Terry Kemp. I am co-founder and vice president of All Abilities Productions of upstate New York. What we're going to show first is because our other co-founder and president, Andy O'Rourke, could not be here tonight, so he sent along a video message. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Andy O'Rourke. I am the executive director of All Abilities Productions and one of the co-founders. So this is how All Abilities came to life. So it was a 3 a.m. thought the night before I went to an audition for a local production here in the North Country community. And by 11 p.m. that night, I got an email that I did not make the cut. So I was really upset. And I went to bed really upset, and I could not fall asleep because I just remember how I felt, how they could not see past the wheelchair. So around 3 a.m., I woke up and I was like, I am tired of getting rejected on stage for the disabled community. So I am going to change that. So the next morning, I was getting tutored in psychology for my first bachelor's in theater. So I went to my tutor, Terry Kemp, who is also the co-founder of All Abilities. And I'm like, hey, Terry, you want to start an all-inclusive theater company? And that's how All Abilities was born.
That's my boss. In the morning, I received a phone call from Andy. Hi, Andy, what's up? Do I want to start an inclusive theater company with you? Sure. And just like that, All Abilities was born. Little did we know that when we posted the audition notice for our production of Snoopy the Musical, we'd ignite another flame across town.
There's an audition notice for a new all-inclusive theater company looking for someone to play Woodstock. It says that it's a non-speaking role. I wonder if Keely would be interested. We had 5 perfect weeks, and then we got the diagnosis, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy with bilateral symmetrical missing tissue mass. But honestly, that part's not important. Suffice it to say, this little one has had the odds stacked against her from the start. She's the dark horse. We had hope, but not much of it. But then she flourished. We had doctors think that they were in the wrong room because the brain that they were looking at on the MRI shouldn't be able to sit up, much less giggle, draw, read, or act, dance, and sing. She became their best practice, the case that they held up to other families looking for hope. So flash forward a few years, here's the kid who was never supposed to open her eyes. She joined the school chorus. She was playing unified basketball and bowling and riding horses. There's a term in the gaming community called nerfing. It's when a character has so much more power than the others that you have to do something to limit their abilities. You know, just to make it more fair. Well, we say that Keely was nerfed because if she could speak, she'd rule the world.
It's true. Keels, as she likes to be called, would create characters out of the costume room at camp and out of her own collection. I mean, a Spider-Man costume with a stormtrooper helmet? What, you've never heard of Spider Trooper? She's always been bold and full of creativity, even without the use of spoken words. She's always been happy to join others, but wasn't really a social initiator. So doing a scripted play with a full cast of strangers, would that be out of her comfort zone? We were about to find out.
It does. Hey, Keels, would you like to audition for a role in a play, Snoopy the Musical? It's Woodstock. Woodstock is a non-speaking role.
You're the perfect Woodstock.
The audition process was great, but they wanted to see more. After all, Woodstock has his own dance number. So we went home, we set up a camera in the backyard, and she danced around on camera to Woodstock's theme. Ready, action.
She got the part.
Then came the rehearsals. Well, the first thing that happened was we met a lot of new friends. And the group assembled was just as Andy had imagined. This robust mix of theater nerds, individuals challenged by disabilities, and folks who just plain always wanted to jump on stage but never had the chance.
Keely didn't have any lines to learn, but she had to learn where to be and at what time during the performance. Would she be able to remember where her props were? Could she remember her cues? We were slowly finding out, but honestly, she already had the theatrical comic timing down. See, in the show, Woodstock lets Snoopy know that he has fallen in love.
I'll be Snoopy. Oh, hello, Woodstock. How are you, pal? You got a new girlfriend? Congratulations. Your new girlfriend's a worm? Congratulations. Wow, his new girlfriend's a worm. That's like me falling in love with a can of dog food. And now he wants me to meet this worm girlfriend of his. Well, where is she? Let's meet this worm girlfriend of yours. Turn. That's okay. Show him.
Show the screen.
Oh no. Woodstock's worm girlfriend left him for the early bird.
What a roller coaster of emotions. The show got better and better as the weeks of rehearsals went by, which just means that it got to be more and more fun every time we ran the show.
Tech Week was intense, but just as exciting as some of you may know from experience. What we weren't prepared for was on closing night, there's that wave of emotion as it dawns on you that this is the end. We're never going to see these people again in the same way every night like we have been. And just as Keely brings joy into every room with her smile, when she starts crying, everyone starts crying. It was a real, authentic theater experience. Andy had done it. He created a real, live, living, breathing theater company. It changed lives for the better. It made friends, and those friends made new friends.
You might have thought that this was going to be a story about a shy kid who became bolder because of an all-inclusive theater group for kids with disabilities. But I'm here to tell you that it's really the story about a bold kid who became unstoppable. She's a social initiator, a brave performer, and a force for good, all because the immovable object of Andy's dream met the unstoppable force that is Keels.
Bow and keel, setting waves in motion that the world can feel. In a starry sky, The magic you believe in is always real. A yellow bird singing with emotion you have never heard. Underneath the harvest moon where friendship doesn't need a word. And so it was, starting like a story written on a page. When it does, flying in the living color on a stage. You're sailing now, keel and bow. And it's alright to speak in a different way. It's the way you make them feel more than the words you say. Yeah, it's alright to speak in a different way. It's the way you make them feel more than the words you say. Day by day, in quiet understanding of the parts we play. A blue-haired girl dancing to make light of what the world can weigh. And one by one, we walk until we find out what we could become. The long road home, the curtain rising slowly like the morning sun. And it's alright to speak in a different way. It's the way you make them feel more than the words you say. Yeah, it's alright to speak in a different way. It's the way you make them feel more than the words you say. So it was, starting like a story written on a page. When it does, flying in the living color on a stage. You're sailing now, keel and bow. Sailing now, keel and bow, keel and bow.
So, thank you very much for inviting us tonight and giving us a chance to let you know who we are. If you want to volunteer or donate, you know, we do have we're nonprofit, I don't know what to tell you. We do have a Facebook page, All Abilities Productions of Upstate New York. All right, thank you.
Wow, that was so cool. All right. And that was the first little challenge for the tech crew here. You guys handled it like champs. Well done. And This one is going to have a little bit of a surprise challenge too. So this is Sustainable Saratoga, hometown organization. The coach for this team is Janine Laverty, a very well-known storyteller in our region. And the people sharing the story for this piece are Tom Stock and Joanne Yepsen. And the songwriter is Dan Berggren. So I am now going to ask Kelsey Trudell to come up and tell you a little bit about what Sustainable Saratoga does.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you, Sarah and the team at Caffe Lena, for including us in this incredible event. My name's Kelsey. I'm the director of Sustainable Saratoga. We are a nonprofit promoting sustainable practices and natural resource protection through education, advocacy, and action for the benefit of both future and current generations in Saratoga Springs and the surrounding area. Our work focuses on addressing local environmental issues through projects in urban forestry, zero waste, land use, pollinators and native plants, and climate and energy. Sustainable Saratoga is helping people build a greater appreciation for the world around us and advocating for a community that values natural resources that we have here that are worth protecting. We recognize that abundant access to nature is not only essential for our well-being, it's a quality that makes Saratoga so desirable for residents and visitors alike. Protecting our existing natural resources like wetlands and forests is one of the best ways to ensure that our region is resilient to the impacts of climate change. To us, a vibrant, sustainable community is one where people, environment, and economy coexist in a harmonious balance, and that's what we're working towards. Together, since 2008, we've planted 458 trees through our annual Tree-Toga event, many of you may be aware of. We've invested over 1,500 hours in advocating for sustainable land use policies, like our city and the country vision for Saratoga and protecting the Greenbelt. We've repaired almost 700 items at repair cafes, grown and sold more than 6,000 native plants to expand our pollinator habitat, removed 300 bags of litter from our streets and parks, and this summer composted over 4.5 tons of residential food scraps through a new program at Pitney Meadows Community Farm. You may be familiar with some of our other annual events like Paint Collection Day and Recycles Day, where we help keep unwanted household items out of the landfill. And every day we're teaching hundreds of families, individuals about the impacts of climate change and what we can all do to help. Tonight, I'm excited for us to learn the origin story of Sustainable Saratoga through the incredibly inspiring life of our co-founder, Amy Stock. Here to tell her story is Amy's brother, Tom, and Amy's friend and Sustainable Saratoga co-founder, Joanne Yepsen. Unfortunately, Joanne unexpectedly could not join us in person this evening, but we were able to record her story before she left. I'm excited for you all to see it. I will now ask Tom to come out and share his story. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Amy Stock's brother, Tom. When Amy moved to Saratoga, I introduced her to my friend, Joanne Yepsen. Joanne and Amy teamed up to become co-founders of Sustainable Saratoga. Amy is no longer with us, but we are here to speak on her behalf.
I am Joanne Yepsen. When Amy and I met, I was the elected county supervisor representing the city of Saratoga Springs. We became friends and political colleagues. It was the perfect match. Amy, an environmental expert, and me, an elected official who cared deeply about the environment.
Our parents grew up pinching pennies during the Great Depression. They repaired and reused everything. By the 1960s, all the kids in our family wore hand-me-down clothes. If a bicycle or a toy broke, we didn't just toss it. We figured out how to repair it. We planted beets and carrots, lettuce, and potatoes in our garden. We traveled the backcountry roads with my father driving, looking for wild asparagus or blackberries. We participated in recycling drives. Sustainability was part of Amy's DNA. Years later, when I visited Amy when she was in grad school at her home in Olympia, Washington, her kitchen porch had a clothesline just for used plastic shopping bags. She would rinse them out, then hang them to dry to use them again. If one ripped, she would tape it just to get one more trip to the store. Amy separated her trash. She composted her leftovers way before it was cool to do so. She made recycling, repair, and reuse common practices in her life. Amy didn't just talk the talk, she walked the walk.
And there was a lot to talk about. My conversations with Amy often began on a comfy velvet couch at Madeline's coffee shop. They sometimes overlapped into lunch and dinner as we planned political campaigns and imagined together a greener, balanced, healthier, and more active city. In my elected capacity, I found myself attending a different meeting every night. Some that I was initiating and some that other organizations had invited me to, like Recycling Group, Saratoga, Complete Streets, Saratoga Plan. I was motivated to bring all of these organizations and their missions together to build a big tent. And Amy was already putting the stakes in the ground. In December of 2008, we expanded our two-persons meetings to the third floor music hall above City Hall. But honestly, we weren't sure of the response we'd get. To our surprise, over 100 people joined us. And at the end of the evening, Amy and I looked at each other and said, what are we going to call this? Sustainable Saratoga. We said together, and so it was, and has not stopped growing since. Amy's priorities growing up stood the test of time. The plastic bag ban was adopted in New York State, supported by the city of Saratoga Springs. And Sustainable Saratoga's Recycles Day is in its 8th year, and the Repair Caffe is more popular than ever. Just like Amy, Sustainable Saratoga has never just been talk.
With 7 kids in our family, my mother was constantly yelling, "Go outside and play, damn kids." So we did. Our suburban yard backed up to 1,000 acres of farmland, fields, and streams. It was our playground. When Amy was 12 years old, my father took her and a sister on a wilderness canoe trip up in the Adirondacks. She came back forever changed. Amy had heard the call of the wild. She sensed an inner peace on the silent rivers. In the ancient mountains, she had found her happy place. She began to notice how humans were abusing and destroying the natural world with pollution and industry and automobiles. Amy made a commitment to lower her impact on the environment, to reduce her footprint on the earth. She took public transportation whenever she could, even if it wasn't convenient to her. She walked or rode her bicycle to avoid polluting. Amy had a knack for sharing her passion with others. She encouraged us all to tread lightly on the earth.
And treading lightly on the earth became a common theme, a central theme in the forefront of our city's overall sustainable planning. Not a day would go by when we weren't advancing sustainable practices in all areas of the city, first as county supervisor, then out of the mayor's office. Nothing gives me more pleasure than seeing families enjoying bike and pedestrian trail connections, planting and hiking together at Pitney Meadows Community Farm, and launching their canoes from the newly opened waterfront park. While I was in office, alternative transportation and complete streets, sharing the road with bikes and pedestrians, became a daily conversation. I thought of Amy when I asked CDTA to install a bike share program in Saratoga Springs. And we held a bike to work day once a year, which many of us did participate in. But Amy had a bike to work day every day.
In high school, Amy received a Rotary International Scholarship her junior year. This scholarship included a summer cross-country trip that taught leadership and team-building skills. She and a dozen other students from across the state were crammed into 2 small vans for several weeks. She came face to face with not only the grand beauty of our nation, but also with the appalling urban blight of the Rust Belt cities. Amy saw people in need, folks who needed a hand up. A desire grew in her to help others, help themselves. Upon her return, Amy sprang into action. As a high school senior, she initiated a Students Against Drunk Driver program at Gloversville High School. She arranged for an assembly, provided speakers, and to drive home the negative repercussions of drunk driving.
With Amy's knowledge and leadership in its infancy, Sustainable Saratoga subcommittees that were just...
Thank you. That was a pregnant pause. It's ironic that it was eventually a drunk driver who took Amy's life just 10 years ago. Sister Amy went on to college to study biomedical engineering. She worked in the industry for several years, and although she was good at it, it was not her true calling. She felt unfulfilled. Amy gave up her corporate position and returned to school to follow her dream of studying for a master's degree in environmental science. She decided the best way to help the environment was to educate others. By the time she got to Saratoga Springs and made it home, she was unstoppable. She taught courses at Empire State College. She partnered with environmental groups who had things in mind that she liked to do. She helped coordinate the very first sustainability fair in the community to raise awareness to those issues near and dear to her heart.
With Amy's knowledge and leadership in its infancy, Sustainable Saratoga subcommittees that were just tent cards on those round tables at that first community meeting in the music hall began to meet regularly in cafes, in City Hall, and people's homes. In 2012, Sustainable Saratoga had another growth spurt. It became an adult. Just before I started serving as mayor, we received our 501c3 status and formed a board of directors and established bylaws. I loved it when more and more members of Sustainable Saratoga began attending city council meetings, speaking up alongside each other as one. Sustainable Saratoga was quickly becoming the catalyst for decisions made by city council regarding economics, smart growth, and sustainability practices for our city. On the front steps of City Hall in 2012, tucked between those 2 bronze lions, a large group of us signed on to become the 100th New York Climate Smart Community. Today, Saratogians enjoy a quality of life that has put us on the map for being one of the most sought out sustainability cities.
While seeking her master's degree on the West Coast, Amy was intrigued with the Buddhist Zen Center in her neighborhood. She found it was a natural fit for both her temperament and beliefs, as well as the curriculum she was studying. Applying Zen in the natural world involves practicing mindfulness and quiet reflection during activities like walking or hiking or biking. Zen taught Amy that by engaging our senses, we can become better connected to the environment and find peace and wonder in the natural world. In other words, on your walk into work in the morning, stop and smell the roses. Amy believed everyone deserved to walk in the park. She was an advocate for planting trees like the majestic elms that once graced the streets in Saratoga. Those broad canopies, and there are still a few around, provided cooling shade for the streets and homes, as well as dwellings for birds and wildlife. Amy advocated for all city land use permits to provide serene, natural places for the benefit of generations to come.
Imagine Amy if she were here today, Over the past 10 years, she would have no doubt formed Sustainable Albany, Sustainable Troy. I think she would have even secured a position on the Albany City Council, and then probably as an elected New York State representative. That could easily have been her next story, her next song. Amy Stock, the sustainability representative, changing and saving the earth.
In her honor, as you leave here tonight with your printed programs in hand, please read them, enjoy them, and then, as Amy would ask, without hesitation, please recycle them.
Present in the moment, be present in the stream, be present in this moment now. Be present in the moment, be present on the mountain, be present in the moment now. A simple little house, a big backyard, garage where I can fix my car, planting seeds everywhere I go, teaching friends and watching how they grow. Whenever I cross a raging stream, in a canoe or in a dream, when I'm climbing up another hill, I find the strength, and I always will. Be present in the moment, be present in the stream, be present on the mountain now. Be present in the moment, be present in the stream, be present in the moment now. When you're not sure of the path you're traveling, when it seems like life's unraveling, an end can be a place where you begin to turn a loss into a win. Remember when little things become annoying, remember that which brings you joy, and follow your heart, mind and soul. To understand is to be whole. Try it with me. Be present in the moment, be present on the mountain, be present in the moment now. Be present in the moment, be present on the mountain, be present in the moment now. Love the rain as you love clear weather, embrace solitude or being together. We may not know what's over the next hill, but we've learned to be patient, to be still. What if sadness comes our way? What if being alone's okay? When doubt clouds the air, nothing's what it seems. Release the past, embrace your dreams. Be present on the mountain, be present in the stream, be present in the moment now. Be present on the mountain, be present present in the stream. Be present in the moment now.
Thank you.
You know, this is such a challenge that we put in front of people. We start this process back in March, starting to reach out to different organizations. And there's, I can't see your faces, but Bob Vogel is here somewhere, and he's the guy who makes the cold calls to the organizations and tries to explain this program. and you know, getting them on board and to have faith in us and that we really mean that we're going to put you in front of a big audience and people are going to show up and you're just going to walk away with a song and a video. You don't get too many calls like that in the nonprofit world. So that's a really neat thing. And then we throw the challenge in front of the songwriters, and they want so much to get it right. Because this is such an important moment for people up here sharing their stories, and they want to get those songs right, and they really put their hearts into it, and I thank them so much for that work. Yes. So we're going to get to the last story now, the last organization. But then we have one last little thing that we do at the end. And so for all of the organization reps who are out here and back there, I'm going to ask you, as we discussed earlier, that you're all going to come up on stage and give this audience one thing that they can do to help with the work that you do. So stick around for that. So the next organization and the final one for this year is Camp Stomping Ground. The coach for this group is Claire Nolan, and Danny C. is going to be sharing his story, and the songwriter is now based in Nashville from North Carolina, Chris Matthews. So I'm going to ask the camp director, Laura Kriegel, to come up and talk a little bit about what they do.
Hello, everybody. I'm feeling so humbled and grateful to be asked to be a part of this. And I just want to say thank you to Sarah and the Caffe Lena crowd for making this event happen. What a special night. At Stomping Ground, we're a nonprofit organization. We're a summer camp out in Middle Grove, New York. And we believe that kids learn best how to make decisions by making them. And we're hell-bent on building kids a stomping ground, a place where they can play and learn and explore and get into arguments and solve conflicts with kids who are different than them and staff, all in the hopes of reimagining a more perfect world. When I say a more perfect world, I mean one built on trust, autonomy, and belonging. Stomping Ground is proud to have never turned away a family for financial reasons, because cost should never be a barrier to belonging. We have a robust scholarship program, a trust-based sliding scale, and dozens of partnerships all across the Capital Region and beyond. And every summer, hundreds of kids gather at camp to take back childhood against the rising tide of anxiety and disconnection that face an entire generation. We believe the antidote is simple: free play. Not the adult-curated, overstructured, or polished version of play, but the really gritty, messy, and often gloriously chaotic play. The play that inspires true confidence, purpose, and joy. Tonight you'll hear from Danny, who came to us when he was 10 years old. And now he is a program director on our summer staff team, and he gets to share the joy and confidence and sense of belonging and trust that he found at camp with hundreds of other kids each summer.
A small, quiet boy and his sister meet the woman who would become something akin to a second mom to them. Her name was Laura. She was a character so full of hope and joy that she nearly lit up the room around them when she brought them a proposition, one that would alter their futures forever. This proposition was the promise of an adventure. Like explorers likened to Lewis and Clark, they would be asked to explore uncharted ground. This uncharted ground was known as Stomping Ground, a place said to be a golden land for freedom, creativity, and wonder. The boy's eyes shined at this possibility, and as he looked towards his sister, he knew this was a place he needed to go. But there was just one problem. Like any journey into new places and ideas, the cost was high. Would the boy have to give up this adventure like he had to do so many times before? And if not, how would he get there? Unbeknownst to him, an unknown benefactor had already paid for this venture. Costs would for once not stop this boy. Many months had passed, and the beginning of the journey was upon them. The boy, his sister, and his mother made their way into the Grand Apple, where they, alongside all new adventurers, would meet their travel guide. And on a packed city street, he appeared as if out of thin air aboard his gigantic mechanical wagon. And he said, "My name's Daquan." He was a slightly strange individual, but he perfectly encapsulated the magic and wondrous energy of this so-called stomping ground. As the boy looked upon the transport, he was awestruck. It seemed to be powered by nothing but the magic of the man itself, but time was of the essence, for the journey was long. The boy turned to his mother and alongside his sister, boarded the majestic transport. The journey that felt like days to the boy was in reality only a few hours and ended at the place he would begin to know as a home away from home. But not just yet, as the boy had only just realized what he had gotten himself into. As he stepped off the steed, he was overcome and fearful. He was surrounded by people he had never met in a place he had never been to, and he was afraid. It was as if voices from around him had infiltrated his own mind. He attempted to shoo these voices away and steel himself as best he could. He was then sent to meet his cabin mates and counselor, and here too, he was afraid. What if he had nothing in common with these so-called friends he was meant to make? Or what if they saw him as weird and off-putting? But here too, again, his fears were laid to rest. As he met his counselor, a towering figure by the name of Hutch, from the outset you would think this man would be loud and boisterous, but in reality he was calm and quiet, the exact type of person the boy needed in this time. As time went along, the boy and him began to share games they had liked with one another, ultimately settling on a game that had been foreign to the boy up to this point, a game known as Catan. As if David and Goliath had instead chosen a challenge of wits rather than a battle, these two would play this game every day. It was the only way the boy could envision spending his time, and a bond was formed. Years later, the boy would return to this place as he had done every year prior, and this time he was met with his best friends and a new counselor named Eli in a village known as Pioneer. Here he was surrounded by nothing but the possibility of this year, specifically the idea of going to a place he had never gone to before, a place known as the Fire Tower. He had heard so many magical stories of this place, each grander than the last, and he wanted to know what it was truly like. But at the last moment, tragedy would strike. He would injure himself. He would sprain his ankle. He had always been a slightly injury-prone kid, but this was the worst it had ever been. He couldn't stand or walk on that leg at all, but all he could think about was missing this adventure with his friends. It was all he ever thought about. He even dreamt about missing this once-in-a-lifetime adventure. But luckily for him, his counselor had other plans. He was shuttled to the base of the fire tower with the rest of his cabin mates, and as his counselor swung open the door, he said to him, "Get on my back." His counselor, Eli, carried him the entire way up the winding and weaving footpath up to a clearing. As if placed there by nothing but magic itself, the fire tower sat here, and as the boy looked around him, he saw trees that towered over him, even while he sat on the shoulders of others. As his troop made its way towards the fire tower, he sat at the base of it, and as he looked up, he saw something he could never have seen at home. A beautiful night sky illuminated by countless stars. And as he looked back down, he saw nothing but his friends around him, and he realized the magic of the fire tower wasn't the tower itself. As the boy continued to return to this magical, almost never-ending adventure, he began to discover new things and ideas about himself. Whether it was his love of fishing or his hatred for arts and crafts, or maybe even perhaps his love of swordsmanship. As if he were a squire being trained by men-at-arms, he would practice this swordsmanship day in and day out, whenever he wasn't playing Catan, of course. No matter when, no matter who, and no matter how many, the boy never backed down or cowered. He wished to show off something he had never known before here, his power. And not power in some general term, but strength and mastery. The ability for him to be great at something he chose. And so he did. The boy became the knight he had always dreamt of being. He became this proud sword fighter who others feared to face, but nonetheless, still his kind, quiet self. And this pride, it followed him home, not in his ability to sword fight, of course, but in himself. The boy began to be less quiet, and as he began to stand taller, the strength of character and moral judgment he had seen in those around him changed the way he saw the world, the way he participated with others, and the way he interacted with his peers. In the end, he became the leader and pillar for others he had always had around him, and it's all thanks to that one magical place and those in it. Thank you.
So much of the ethos of Camp Stomping Ground has to do with community and with the notion of radical empathy. And so I would like to have your help with talking about those two things in this song. So in the chorus, there's a place for you to stomp, to actually stomp. You can do that 1, 2, 3. You can do it on your leg if you need to. You can snap however it feels good to your body and your ability. And then at the bridge, it says, breathe empathy in, breathe empathy out. Breathe empathy in, breathe empathy out. May we all endeavor to do much more of that.
When I was a kid, I was shy and quiet, didn't play sports, didn't know who I'd be. I'm so thankful for every single way that play shaped me. It gave me a chance for a new perspective to say I wanna be that guy there. They put a sword in my hand and made me feel like a shining knight. There's a free ride if you need it. You gotta see it to believe it. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, come have a little fun. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, learn to be your own person. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, I hear it all the time. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, man, it changed my life. When I think back to how this started, to the late nights, singing rivers and roads back before I found my voice, to when my circumstances were such a heavy load. He carried me up that fire tower just to make sure I knew I wasn't alone. Now that I'm one of the counselors, coming back feels like coming home. There's a free ride if you need it. You gotta see it to believe it. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, come have a little fun. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, learn to be your own person. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, I hear it all the time. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, man, it changed my life. Out in the world, communities fractured, but one small act can lead to repair. This is a place for connection, rehearsal space for being human together. Camp is a bridge between what is and what could be if we find common ground. Here, we aren't afraid of conflict. We keep on trying till we come back around. Breathe empathy in, breathe empathy out. 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 There's a free ride if you need it. You gotta see it to believe it. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, come have a little fun. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, learn to be your own person. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, I hear it all the time. Stomp, stomp, stomping ground, man, it changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my life.
All right, Fern, Janine, Lindsay, Terry, Kelsey, Laura, come on back up on stage. All right. All right, so like I said, I asked these guys to come up with one short thing that you all could do if you wanted to make a difference for the folks that you just heard about. So let's hear it.
Thank you again for inviting us. If you want to help out All Abilities, come volunteer. It can be as simple as working when we have our haunted house, or helping with the sets that when we do our productions. And you get to work with Keely, and who doesn't want to work with Keely? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Our mission is to inspire the next generation of radically empathetic decision makers, young people who can take others' perspectives with their whole heart and mind. My call to action for you is this. I invite you to close your eyes and think of a young person in your life, somebody who you see regularly and care a lot about. How do you listen to them? Do you listen to them to be anxious and overwhelmed? Do you listen to them to be lazy and unmotivated? Or do you listen to them to be curious and empathetic, responsible, full of integrity, humble, kind? The way we listen to people, and especially kids, is how they show up for us and the world. So you have an opportunity right now to inspire the next generation with how you listen to them. Science tells us what our hearts already know. It only takes one grown-up to, a caring grown-up, to change the trajectory of a young person's life, and you could be that grown-up tonight with how you choose to listen. Thank you.
I hope you all feel the passion and the joy that was Amy Stock's life, that is Amy Stock. I know I feel absolutely honored to carry on her legacy through my role within Sustainable Saratoga. I know she would be really proud of all that we've accomplished together and all we continue to accomplish together. As a small nonprofit organization, we have 3 part-time staff and an ever-growing need to continue to do more to promote sustainability. So if you have a passion and interest and a special expertise in any of our areas of work, we'd love to have you join our team as a volunteer, whether that's coming out one day to plant trees with us at Saratoga, which is always a really fun day. Even in the rain, we have a lot of fun. One time at an event, or if you'd like to get involved more regularly on one of our program committees, we'd love to have you involved. It really does make an impact. We all can do this together, I believe, create a better world. And I would also recommend that we all just take a moment to admire the natural world that is around us and appreciate it just a little bit more in our day-to-day lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. November is National Epilepsy Awareness Month, and in 2026, the Epilepsy Foundation is going to be celebrating our 45th anniversary, so I have kind of a dual ask tied to those 2 events. First, I would recommend that everyone go to our website, efneny.org, and sign up for our Seizure First Aid Certification Training. Anyone can have a seizure at any point in their life, and you should know what to do if you were to see someone having a seizure. It's 1 hour of your time, and it could save a life. And for our 45th anniversary, we have a goal to raise $45,000. So if you would like to be a part of that goal, you can simply text HOPE45, that's HOPE 45, to 41444. And you can start us off on our goal to raise $45,000, which is a lot of money for a small organization like ours. So thank you so much.
I know Sarah said 1 call to action, but I have 3, and I promise they're all interrelated. I promise. And they all center around stigma and misinformation. I ask that we all educate ourselves on mental health, on substance use, and what the actual causes and solutions are for street homelessness. Please do not spread the disinformation. We particularly are under a attack, really, by folks that are in charge of the funding streams. And we are seeing something that we've never seen before, in which we're being asked to not provide services in the most data-informed manner, and that cannot stand. We need your voices. We need your voices at City Hall. We need your voices at Saratoga County. We need your voices to your local electeds, to your senators, to your federal representatives. We need your voices. We need your voices with your neighbors and with your electeds. And my last and final, so 1, 2, 3, is when you see somebody on the street that you think may be suffering with a mental health condition or with a substance abuse disorder, please do not walk past them like they do not exist. They are people just like you and I, and sometimes eye contact, a hello, and a smile can make all the difference. Thank you.
Hi, me again, Fern from Captain. Remember that group of volunteers around the table that was in the 70s and wanted to do something to help the teenagers? And then they launched all those other programs? Well, they're at it again. And actually some of the same members that were around that original table are still at it, around a table, envisioning a future where someone could come in for services and have very complicated things happening in their lives, and we wrap around them with all the possible services and partners that could serve that human being and their needs. And we call this a community engagement and resource center. We've launched the Building Brighter Futures campaign to build this center. Would you please visit our website, captaincares.org, and find out how you, your talent, your treasure, or your time can contribute to this community effort. Thank you.
What a wonderful bunch of people. So, Caffe Lena is also a nonprofit organization, so I'm going to claim the mic for 1 second here and say, just bear in mind that music is always available to you. I know that our hearts and our minds are strained by a lot of what's out there in the world, within our families, challenges that we have, whether it's financial or it's political, or it's your health. And music is always there. Remember how a song can stir a memory, how it can lift your spirits, how it can remind you of what you believe in. And you can listen to those songs on headphones if you want, but I can tell you they sound a lot better when you're listening shoulder to shoulder with 110 people at Caffe Lena. All right. These folks are walking away with a new song for their organization, with a video of that story that you heard, which I hope will help them with their education and fundraising efforts. But I have one more gift for you, and that is a weekender membership for each organization to Caffe Lena. This is a $1,000 value membership that entitles the bearer to 2 free shows per month. And you are welcome to use that for your staff, for your key volunteers, for people you serve. Bring them in for a night of music and see if it doesn't help. All right. All right, go be well. Thank you so much for being here for TrueSongs.